Pablo Escobar was a drug lord who was born in Colombia and amassed a peak net worth of $30 billion throughout his career. He was known as El Mafioso. Pablo Escobar was a Colombian-born drug kingpin who had a peak net worth of $30 billion during his lifetime. When he was alive, Pablo Escobar ran one of the most infamous and violent drug cartels in history, the Medellin drug cartel. At the peak of its power, the Medellin cartel distributed 80% of the world's cocaine market. Along the way, Pablo and his cartel were responsible for thousands, possibly even tens of thousands, of murders. Many of these murders were innocent civilians. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria was born in Rio Negro, Colombia, on December 1, 1949, the third of 7 children. Escobar was the son of farmer Abel Jesus Dari Escobar Echeverri and teacher Hilda Los Dolores Gaviria Barrio. He was raised in Medellin, where he is thought to have started his criminal career as a teen. He allegedly sold gravestones to resell to local muggers, as well as selling counterfeit diplomas. Escobar studied at the Universidad Autónoma Latinoamericana for a short time but did not finish a degree. In the early 70s, Escobar ramped up his criminal activity with partner Oscar Benellaguirre, running petty scams and selling contraband from fake cigarettes to fake lottery tickets. He earned $100,000 for kidnapping and holding a Medellin executive for ransom during this period. 1975 was the year Pablo began his massive cocaine operation titled the Medellin Cartel. He owned over 24 planes, including a Learjet and 6 helicopters, that he used to smuggle the drugs between Colombia, Panama, and routes across the United States. Escobar would buy cocaine paste in Peru, which would then be sent to a laboratory to be refined and subsequently smuggled into plane tires. A pilot could make up to $500,000 per flight for smuggling the drugs. By the mid-80s, the demand for cocaine was high in the United States, and the Medellin cartel was controlling 80% of the drugs smuggled, netting around $420 million a week. The cartel smuggled in over 15 tons per day. Escobar himself already had a net worth of $30 billion and was one of the 10 richest people on earth. At the height of his criminal career, he was seen as a hero to the people of Medellin, especially the Pope, but at this time had begun to be hunted by the US and Colombian governments. He had successfully won over Medellin citizens by putting on a facade of a superhero, building sports fields and sponsoring children's football teams, constructing houses, and distributing money through civic activities. Many citizens helped Pablo avoid arrest by serving as lookouts and lying to the authorities. When Pablo was alive and his cartel was thriving, he employed 10 accountants to help launder hundreds of millions of dollars in illicit currency. He reportedly spent $2,500 a month just on rubber bands to wrap all the money. That's enough to buy 250,000 rubber bands every month, because much of the money was being stored in basements and walls. Pablo was supposedly first to write off $500 million in cash every year due to spoilage. Spoilage could include water damage and fires, but more common was starving rats that went to the money thinking it was food. At one point while Pablo was on the run, he offered to pay off Colombia's entire national debt, totaling more than $10 billion, if they passed a law to make extradition illegal. Forbes magazine first pegged Pablo's wealth at north of $1 billion in 1987 as part of their inaugural list of international billionaires. In that profile, Pablo's personal earnings to that point were estimated at $3 billion. That's the same as around $8 billion in today's dollars, after adjusting for inflation. He made the list of world's billionaires every year for the next 7 years. In the early 1980s, Pablo paid Panamanian leader General Manuel Noriega an estimated $350 million to stash billions of dollars in the country's banks. When that relationship soured and Pablo's money was frozen, the cartel reportedly put a $1 million contract out on Noriega's life. Pablo Escobar's life has spawned many books, films, and TV shows chronicling his career in cocaine. Perhaps most notably, Netflix's Narcos was released in August 2015 and chronicles the hunt for Escobar. Large-budget films such as 2001's Blow, Escobar, and American-Made also graced the big screen. Pablo owned 4 hippos at the time of his death. By 2007, the animals had multiplied to 16. National Geographic produced a documentary about them, titled Cocaine Hippos. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe the channel.